Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can I Have a Word with You? Your host, Bruce Pulver, and co host, Heather Carter. Hey, Heather,
Hello, good morning.
got another word we're going to unpack today. We're going to
Mhm.
we're going to bounce it around. We're going to talk about when we need it, where we find it, how we use it, how we keep it, what do we have to do to not lose it. It's like, oh my gosh, what are we
Yeah.
talking about here today? So, for those of you that are here for the first time, we take a word and we call that unpack the word. We just write it vertically and we look at the letters of the word and talk about what it might mean in the difficulties, in the challenges, and how we work through things, how we try to get better every day, but also
Mhm.
realize that there's no magic switch in
Mhm.
how we put our mindset and how we put our attention. But there is a magic switch when we put our faith in the Lord and we just walk the walk that He's asked us to do. He's there with us. So, what are we going to unpack today, Heather?
Well, today we're going to do the word resolve. And this is my husband's contribution actually to uh, our word today. I tried to make him come on here, but he's not into that. Hey, kitty. My cat's going to be my guest. So, yeah, resolve.
Gosh, it can mean so many things, right? When you resolve something, actually, it's got two syllables, right? If you put a hyphen between it, it's resolve, like
Hmm.
resolving something again over and over. And hopefully, that's not what we're doing. We can resolve something
Yeah.
and then move forward. And there's, to me, I thought about it a couple different ways, Heather. I thought about resolve as you kind of you solve for something, or I don't say you settle, but you just resolved your differences, or you resolved a conflict. And that's
Hmm.
one way to look at it. And but I think as we are kicking this thing around, we kind of wanted to maybe talk about resolve as it relates to maybe fortitude.
Hmm. Oh, that's a good word for it. Yeah, it was interesting because when my husband was talking about resolve, he said his first go to when he thinks of that word, the first thing he thinks of is to resolve something. Probably because he is in corporate America and he's trying to resolve things pretty much all day. His entire job, he's resolving problems, coming up with solutions. And I said, "Oh, I actually that is not at all where my brain goes because my first instinct is to think, he had high resolve. He was committed. He was determined. Fortitude is a good word. So I think there's a couple ways to look at it, and both are really important. I haven't really put much time into thinking about why there's such different words. The same word has such drastically different meanings, but maybe it doesn't if I think about it more. So maybe we'll figure it out while we're talking.
Well, that's so cool about the English language. Whether it's written down, whether it's a conversation among two friends on a Zoom doing a podcast, or if it's conversations with ourselves. Because you
Yeah.
can say, well, I just resolved to let this thing go. Could come with a mindset of I'm wiping my hands of it. I'm tired of fighting.
Hmm.
That sort of thing. But then we get to this fortitude or determination or commitment. I have this innate resolve, to finish the race, innate resolve to, you know, start
Hmm.
something that might be difficult for me. It's almost a gut inner strength maybe. And so I
Hmm.
wrote the word resolve, and why don't we just kind of go through it, the letters, and we'll try to unpack it and see what it means. So again, we write the words vertically, and the R for me was reached the bottom. I was thinking about when do I call on my resolve or my determination. Oftentimes, it has to get to a point where the pain of making the change or committing is actually less than the change of staying put, or the action of staying put. So sometimes it's like feeling
Hmm.
like I'm at the bottom, whether it's I'm not I'm not content in my work. I don't feel like I'm being rewarded either financially or personally anymore, or it's I've had enough of this. So what do you think about that as far as the R reached the bottom? Do you see it that way or another way?
Yeah, I agree with that because I think, in that respect, I think it does kind of almost cover both definitions. You're coming to a solution, you're coming to closure, you're coming to the end of something, which in this case is the end of yourself. But then that can for me, and I've kind of had some of that going on lately. I just it when I get to the bottom or the end of myself, I have to um, resolve to do it different and stay committed to what I know to be true, to what I know God wants me to do and engage in the people He wants me to engage with. So sometimes when we come to the end of ourselves, that's when we can grasp onto that high resolve to just keep to do it anyway, to do
Yeah.
it afraid or do it tired or whatever, that we continue to move forward.
You can resolve to be determined. Like you
Right.
come to
You
the
can
conclusion.
resolve to resolve.
Yeah, that's cool. And it could be the E I put was end of your rope, but
Hmm.
it could also be the beginning of something. I
Hmm.
resolve to make this change, or I've reached this point of lowness that
Hmm.
it's time. Or it could be this is a new opportunity. I resolve to do something differently that
Hmm.
moves me into that in a positive way. So it's really, I don't think it is settling. I mean, I think
Hmm.
it's resolving. It's kind of coming to a point where something's going to happen.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Going,
think it's really a type of awareness. Like you have to be, it's not a giving up. I just resolve to give up this. It's a awareness and a acceptance of reality and where it's at. And you come to some sort of solution with yourself or with other people, and then you resolve to do it
yeah,
different or do it better. One of the things, I don't think my husband was implying this, but maybe he was recognizing some things in me that needed some resolving. But lately, I've been feeling just like I have no margin in my head. I might look calm or I might look happy or but outwardly, but inside my head just like going crazy and just no margin to enjoy things that I'm doing. Everything you do that you used to enjoy becomes a chore or have to, then that's a sign for most people, but especially me, that I need to slow it down or do something. I need to resolve to
yeah,
do something different. And so one of the things that I did, this sounds like super weird, but I bought a watch, an actual watch that only tells time, because one of the things I recognized was that one of the reasons I don't have margin in my head or enjoy doing things is that I'm constantly being distracted by my phone. And I'll go to my phone to look at what time it is. And the next thing you know, I'm answering a bunch of emails, I'm responding to texts, I'm checking on the weather. And if I just wouldn't have picked up my phone to check the time, that would have saved me so much time and anxiety and all the things that come with that and steal my energy. So I thought, first things first, I'm just going to buy a watch so I can see what time it is. And it's really cut down on my phone time. So that was me coming to the end of, like, I cannot do this anymore. And
this
then
is
doing some small thing different. I resolved to do it different. And it's only been a few days, but I love my watch. And I'm trying to not check my calendar on my phone too and use an actual calendar, but that's not working out very well because I keep forgetting to do things. So that's not good. I keep forgetting to take my calendar or I leave it somewhere. So I'll work on that one.
that's amazing. So sometimes we also need to resolve to take some things out of our life.
Mhm.
The visual that I got about going in to check the time, and the next thing you know, you're 3 layers deep in email, is walking into a room physically and then saying, "Why did I come in here?" Because
Mhm.
there's something either distracting you or your mind goes to something else as well. So that's great. That's great. So the S I put as um, seeing no way out. But I think I'm
Mhm.
going to retract that because I don't think that's the only S in this word. Seeing no way out or seeing a new path I want to take
Mhm.
is more maybe a positive way to look at that. But we can get at our wits end for a lot of different reasons. That I'm at my wits end, so I'm going to move forward with something, or I'm at my
Mhm.
wits end and I'm going to stay frustrated with something. But
Mhm.
I love that. Seeing no way out, end of my rope. So the O is ouch. That hurts, right? So when we decide we have to resolve, or we are at a point where we don't want to be anymore, that pain is there. or that excitement for diving in and
Mhm.
staying committed is there.
I love, I'm like really enjoying this word because I didn't really see how it went together. And it's now, as we're talking about it, you see how brilliant the meanings are, because it's almost like, this is the visual I have in my head. This is probably weird, but almost like I think of the, like the McDonald's sign or the McDonald's symbol, the big M, like there's this resolve and it brings you to the end of yourself. And then there's this, and then you hit that point in the middle of, it's almost like a bottom, but it's also a beginning. And then you resolve to go over the next hump. It kind of meets in the middle there. Like,
Yeah.
and then you have some choices. I guess you can resolve to give up, but you know, hopefully you can choose to move forward and continue, to make the changes you need to make. Buy a watch, buy a calendar,
Yeah.
kinds of
Wow.
small things. Um, that I love how John Ortberg talks about change, and I'm going to probably botch how he says it, but basically, your spiritual disciplines are doing the things that you can do now to help you do the things that you can't do now. Like you can buy a watch. I don't have a lot of margin in my brain yet, but I can buy a watch and wear it and check it instead of checking my phone. And hopefully that will create some spiritual margin and emotional margin and all the things coming up. So
Yeah.
you're doing the things you can do so that you can get to the things that you can't just try harder to have margin right now. But
Yeah.
you can do little things to train yourself to have that.
Well, it's that incremental aspect, and there's actually a study that's been quoted in one of the books that I read. It might have been in Clear Habits. I mean, Atomic Habits. That
Mhm.
if an airplane takes off in New York with the direction to go to LA, and it's off 1 degree of its trajectory, it will land in San Francisco.
Mhm.
So the little changes, I think what you mean by that is you bought the watch. So
Mhm.
now you form the habit of looking at your wrist for the time versus getting, drawn into the vortex of something that you don't want, that you resolve to minimize. So
Mhm.
I love that. I love that. So what did I put here? Oh, the L. Okay, so we're down to the L of resolve. Uh, I put let go of the circumstances. So sometimes if you resolve like you want to settle, or you resolve and you say, I am going to move forward, determined with fortitude, the focus has to take away, you have to take the focus away from what caused that to begin with. You got to put the focus on the action to move, not
Mhm.
like we call that stop admiring our problems
Yeah.
and protecting them and celebrating them and putting them up on a pedestal. So that's what I meant by the L is sometimes we have to let go of the circumstance we're in, or that can drag us back into
Mhm.
or make us settle. This is the best it's going to be
Right.
versus resolve to move forward. So I thought the circumstance aspect of letting go of them was a key part
Mhm.
of resolve.
And being able, I think it's hard, it's really hard for me. I don't know about people listening, but to um, resolve to move, like you said, move forward anyway when other things or circumstances or relationships are unresolved.
Yeah.
So um, even though you can't force a mending of a relationship or force someone's healing, all those things, like sometimes those things, those stressors at work or with friendships or kids or whatever, can make me feel frozen.
Yeah.
And I did this last night. I'm like, I got to go talk to my friend. We had a conflict and I think it's okay, but I really need to see her in person. My husband's like, you need to maybe just calm down. Maybe she needs some space. But I'm like, I can't rest until it's all resolved, until everything's good. And I know she still likes me and I sounded like I was like 12 years old. I'm like, I just don't know if she likes me anymore. And so it's hard for me to move forward when I have to let the circumstances be what they are and trust God's timing for those resolutions is really hard. I want to fix, manage, and control those to make them work and make everything okay so that I can be okay. But we got to resolve to move forward anyway, despite the circumstances, like we talked about with Sturdy last
Yeah.
week. It was.
Yeah. Right. Wow. Yeah. So we're now to the V now. Vow to move onward. I think we covered that. You know,
Yep.
it's that settle that we talked about resolving, but I think we're trying to apply to it. If we resolve to move forward,
Mhm.
that's what we have to do. We have to kind of make a vow or a promise to ourselves that we're going to step today out of this in a different direction. It doesn't mean it's going to be over the next day. It's not going to mean we're going to achieve that thing. But buying the
Mhm.
watch is helping you
Mhm.
get margin time because your watch does not have your email. It has, I don't know, is it an analog watch? Did you get one with it?
No, nothing. All it does is tell time.
Awesome.
And I have to think about it too. I'm like, what is that? Is that 10 or is that 9:30? Because those hands are a little off, and I'm not in the habit of figuring that out still.
Awesome. And then the E is embrace the growth. I think when you resolve to do something,
Hmm.
and it's a movement forward, it's that fortitude to stick with or to start something. The growth is going to come. It has with me at least, with some stretching, with some
Hmm.
achiness, and it may not be physical, but it may be not again, or I got to do this today. So right now I'm doing the St. Jude Children Research Hospital is doing a fundraiser for this month, and you can sign up to do a certain number of push-ups a day. And I'd kind of been out of that a little bit, and I said, no,
Hmm.
that's one way for me to resolve to get back into a little bit of movement again. And
Hmm.
today's the 11th, so it was the 11th day to get it in. And yeah, there's some soreness, and but that's what you have to embrace, because when there is some soreness, then some change is happening, and
Hmm.
it may not be pleasant, but I do think we need to embrace whatever aspect of that growth, that uncomfortable nature of mental or physical or
Hmm.
emotional, helps us get to that next step.
Yeah. I just was thinking about that concept kind of this morning. I was working out, and on Fridays I do weights with my arms. And I was starting to think, like, I don't think this is really doing anything anymore because I'm never sore. I'm sweating, but I'm not dying when I'm lifting. And I started thinking, like, I don't remember the last time I added, 5 pounds to each level of what I'm doing. And then, of course, now I can't move my arms anymore. But that's the thing, is that we get comfortable, we feel or complacent about things, then that's kind of, we stop stretching and growing and building our muscles, our spiritual muscles, or all emotional or physical muscles. So we need to add a little weight, and sometimes it means doing something a little harder than you were doing before, or a little more intensely, or just adding something, not necessarily activities, but adding, uh, buy a watch or do something just slightly different so that you can stretch and grow and build those spiritual muscles up. You might need to volunteer somewhere, or make an amends, or do some things that make you a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, but help you grow.
100%. It could be as simple as, as folks are getting back to the office, right, in the virtual hybrid world, is, calling us back into a workplace, into a brick and mortar. Try a different route to the location.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a left instead of a right, and find a different path. Either go on the highways, or if the traffic is bothering you so much, leave a little early and take the back roads, or,
Mm-hmm.
think about a different way of seeing, and the inspiration then can kind of come because you now are seeing things new, not taking things for granted, or kind of unconsciously just walking through things. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we went through resolve today. What a great word. What
Yeah,
a
thanks, Blake, for making us do the word you came up with. But next time we'll make him get on here with us.
That would be great. We'd love to do that. So I guess we'll wrap it up here. Resolve, right? It's sometimes it's tapping the brakes and kind of coming to an agreement on something, but also it's this inside movement factor of being determined and having fortitude. I resolve to make a change, or I resolve to make this improvement. So
Mm-hmm.
not easy stuff, but I love talking about it, and trying to step in each
Mm-hmm.
day with something about what we chat during our podcast. So, any closing words? Any closing comments, Heather?
Just hope that that helps someone listening today. And make sure you check out our sites. Bruce Pulver, author, keynote speaker. He does a lot of stuff for corporate events and not for profits, just to encourage people with a word that's maybe specific even to their audience. So check out his book as well. And then check out my site, heathercarterwrites.com. And then there you'll see my blogs and my books and my events. I do women's conferences and one night women's conferences. So check those out and get in touch with us if you're interested in having us come visit you.
Absolutely. And we post this on our normal podcast platforms, but also we put it out on our social pages on LinkedIn and our Facebook pages. So if this means something to you, share it out with a friend, have a conversation, comment in, let us know you're out there. We really are doing this to really just touch one life each time that an episode goes live. So this goes live on Tuesday mornings. So set your clock for a Tuesday morning walk or your treadmill time, whatever. And join us next time for another episode of Can I Have a Word with You? All right, Heather, have a great day.
See ya. Bye, everyone.